All right, today we're diving into one of the most powerful and honestly mind-bending metaphors in all of spiritual literature. It comes from the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and this deep dive was actually requested by Sachin Karnik, who is the founder of Energy and Personal Excellence LLC. He hosts a daily online satsang, and he wanted us to know that all are welcome to join. And the idea he wanted us to really unpack is a radical one.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What if the very way you see the world, the way you navigate reality, was completely inverted? That's exactly the challenge and also the incredible opportunity that this chapter of the Gita presents. It asks us to look at the whole structure of our experience and see it in a way that feels totally backward at first.
So the central image here is this incredible picture of the Ashwatha tree. Now, this isn't a botany lesson, okay? This is a map of consciousness. The text says its roots are above, up in the unseen, the transcendental source, while its branches grow downward, right into the middle of our messy, material world. This tree is Samsara, that complex, sticky, beautiful, and, let's face it, often confusing web that we call everyday life.
And this is the fundamental shift in perception it's asking for. You know, we're all taught to find value in the things we can see and touch and achieve, the branches of the tree. But the Gita just flips that completely on its head. It says, no, the real substance, the true value, it flows down from that invisible root. And just starting to grasp that is how you begin to untangle yourself from it all.
So, let's take a closer look at these downward growing branches. I mean, what are they really in our actual day-to-day lives?
The Sanskrit term is adashakam, and this refers to all the ways we branch out into the world. You know, our roles as a parent, an employee, a friend, our desires, our ambitions, all the karmic patterns that seem to follow us around. The very structure of the word suggests this default downward pull for the mind when it's not trained. Without a conscious effort, we just naturally grow into more and more complexity, more and more entanglement.
So what's feeding this constant downward growth? Well, the text uses this fantastic metaphor of sap, and this sap is made of what's called the three gunas. You can think of them as the fundamental operating codes of nature that color every single thought, every feeling, and every action we take.
This table basically maps out our entire inner world. First, you've got sattva. This is the quality of clarity, of balance, of harmony. Think about those moments when you just feel peaceful and everything makes sense. Then there's rajas. This is pure energy, action, passion, restlessness. It's the engine that drives ambition and craving. And finally, you have tamas, inertia, heaviness, delusion, that feeling of being stuck. The Gita says these three are always mixing inside of us, like primary colors, creating the very specific shade of our current experience and feeding the growth of our own personal tree.
And if the gunas are the sap, then every single thing that catches our senses is like a new shoot on the tree. Just think about it. The ping of a notification on your phone, the allure of that new gadget you just have to have, a flash of praise on social media. Each one creates a new little twig, a new desire, a new attachment, and it makes the foliage of our personal tree just that much denser and that much harder to see through.
Okay, so the picture is pretty clear. We're living in this dense, downward-growing forest that we've made for ourselves. But the Gita doesn't just describe the problem, which is great. It gives us the exact tool we need to find our way out.
And the instruction is so direct, so powerful. The way out isn't about trying to climb the branches or just hacking away at the leaves. No, it says to take up the strong weapon of non-attachment and cut the tree right at its core, that point where it connects to our own ego.
And this is such a crucial point. We have to understand what asanga, or non-attachment, really means. It's not about becoming some cold, uncaring robot. It's the total opposite. It's an active, precise, and frankly, loving act of freeing our actions from the desperate grip of the ego. You can still care deeply. You can still act with incredible power, but you are free from clinging to the outcome. It's freedom from clinging, not freedom from caring.
So how do we actually do this? Well, it breaks down into 3 steps. First, you reframe your intention. Before you do something, ask, why am I doing this? And try to shift it from what's in it for me to an act of service. Second, you insert a moment of remembrance. This can be super simple, a quick mantra, a single focused breath, just something to connect the action back to the root. And third, and this is the big one, you release the outcome. You mentally offer up the results, whether it's praise or blame, success or failure, before you even start. That is how you wield the sword.
Because here's the thing.
Cutting the branches of entanglement isn't the final goal. The real goal is what cutting them reveals. It creates the space, the clarity, to look up and finally see our true source.
And that source has a name, Purushottama, the Supreme Person. This is the root above. And the text describes this not as some abstract, impersonal force, but as the ultimate conscious reality. A source that is both way beyond the tree of the world and at the same time is present inside every single leaf and branch, sustaining the whole thing.
Now, the text makes this really fascinating distinction. On one hand, you have the perishable, kshara. That's the visible, always changing world of the branches we live in. Then you have the imperishable, akshara, the unified, unchanging self, kind of like the seed that it all grows from. But then it says that Purushottama, the Supreme Person, is actually beyond even this duality. It's an ultimate reality that contains and transcends both. It's a pretty deep concept.
Okay, so this is all wonderful, high-level philosophy, but how do we bring this into our Monday morning chaos? Let's get really practical.
You can try this. It's a simple but seriously powerful exercise. Every morning, just take 5 minutes. List your main tasks, roles, and desires for the day. These are your active branches. Then, go through the list and label each one as either a means, M, to some higher purpose, or an end, E, in itself. Now, really interrogate every E. Is getting that promotion really the end goal? Is wanting praise an end in itself? Ask, is this for the root? And if not, can you reframe it so it becomes a means to something greater? Or maybe you just have the courage to prune it. This is like spiritual triage for your to-do list.
We can also actively manage that sap of the gunas by cultivating what you might call sattvika, or clarifying habits. It's all about spiritual hygiene. With your diet, favor fresh, whole foods that you offer in a spirit of gratitude, not just mindless consumption. With your speech, try to be brief, truthful, and kind, which is a radical act these days. And please, be ruthless with your digital habits. Every endless scroll through a social media feed is pure rajas and tamas, just thickening those branches of distraction. Set hard limits. Take back your attention.
But here's a subtle but really important warning. You can get pretty good at all this stuff. You can become balanced and clear, and then pride can sneak in. That little voice that says, wow, look how sattvika I am. And that pride, that's just another branch growing on the tree. So the cure, the crucial next step, is you have to offer your newfound clarity, your balance, back to the source as an act of loving devotion, or bhakti.
And this really points to where this whole path leads. The Gita says that when this knowledge becomes absolutely unshakable, when you are undiluted and you truly see the Supreme Person as the root of everything, that knowing just naturally blossoms into worship with your entire being. Your whole life becomes the offering. So, as we start to wrap this up, just a quick note that this explainer comes from the Religious Studies arm of the Energy and Personal Excellence LLC program. For anyone who's interested in learning more about their work, including that daily satsang we mentioned at the start, all the details are available.
You can find all the contact info you need right there in the description box below this video.
So I'll leave you with this one question to carry with you into your day. Looking at the complex, tangled, beautiful tree of your own life, which specific branch, which role, which desire, which habit most needs to be traced back to the root today?